How you going, people? Maybe I'll start a little series called Cop Talk and just talk about cops. I'm out of breath because I just did a set and I'm running around dumping. It started sprinkling right now and the temperature's dropping. So I fed the horses, fed the rabbits, fed the cat. Moki's over there eating, and he might come over and say hi. Hey, Moki Moki! So let's talk about this last video I did, because, man, I just don't get the cop haters. Or the people that come here and they're either all cops are bad, or the cop lovers, all cops are great and you can't talk about them, otherwise you're a cop hater. People, cops are government. Government needs to be held accountable. Government needs to follow the rules. The rules are set by the people. Everybody wants to yell, it's our country, the government works for us, politicians work for us. The politicians don't work, they don't care what we want. They care about our votes every 2 or 4 years and that's it. So, I mean, to think that we control the politicians because we vote for them, I mean, about the only thing we control is our vote. But you got the masses being, you know, made into freaking idiots, so they don't know what they're voting for. They're just doing what they're told, sticking on the old party line. So let's talk about this last video, and I'll try to put a link into it if you didn't see it, where the cop got hit and he got his dog out. I mean, sometimes when I think what I'm passing on from a video is not what everybody sees, and when I see these big gaps in a I mean, my normal, regular viewers who get me, get it. They, you know, their standard comments, yeah, hey Rick, you missed this, but I know what you meant. You said this, I know what you meant. Because when you're talking and I'm running all this through my head because I'm just going off the fly. I don't have a script. I don't have a teleprompter like Obama. I couldn't talk. I can't even shave without a teleprompter. Put the razor on the left side of your face. Now pull down. I mean, I'm not freaking Obama, so I don't have a teleprompter. I'm going off the fly, I'm pulling experiences, and that's why I kind of digress a lot, because when I'm talking about something, I remember an incident that this absolutely applies. And as a dog handler, look, I've let my dog bite people, but the shift from law enforcement to now, it's just amazing. I mean, I'm telling you, people are like, Rick, how can you say that didn't go on when you were a cop? That's bullshit, it's always good. Dude, it did not go on. I'm sure it went on, I mean, Serpico went on, yeah, in your large liberal areas with liberal policies and liberal politicians is where you'll find the most corruption. Now, if you get some little one-horse town sheriff who's been sheriff for 30 years and damn sheriff, his grandfather was sheriff, you're probably going to have shenanigans there. But in those cases, the sheriff still reports to the local people. In these big areas with a bunch of cops, they don't report to the people. The only thing they care about is if the chief tells them to do something and they follow orders. And the chief only cares if I keep my job, if I keep the liberal left politicians happy, then they'll appoint me. Otherwise, they can fire me. Chiefs of police are not elected. That's a problem. Elected officials at least are held accountable once every 3, 4, 6 years, whatever the voting cycle is. You know, people who are appointed by crooks aren't. The Fort Worth chief of police got fired. I mean, there's nothing but scandal since he's been in there. And he was hired because of a quota hire. And he did a crappy job. And he hired more quota hires and he was more. I mean, Fort Worth just got, they've got a cultural diversity task force, a new program, lots of money, lots of minority people, because those are the only people that can actually dish out cultural sensitivity in this freaking day and age. So we have this whole task force, and guess what? They didn't think the task force was being followed, so now they've created a new department in Fort Worth County, or in their legislative, whatever it is, and it's the Cultural Diversity Administrative Supervisory whatever. And so now they have a whole division, and they're proud. They hired a bisexual from San Francisco or Austin to head this new division. Everybody's like, how nice! It's wonderful! Now we're not racist and everything will be great because everywhere we hire minorities, things are perfect. So let's make it about color to hire them, and then when it doesn't work, we'll blame it on racism and non-cultural, and we'll get more money and more departments to enforce more stupid policy. And then I have idiots coming here saying, these cops need more training. It's not about training, people. God, I was in training all the freaking time. I was a training dude. I trained on freaking firearms, weaponless defense, impact weapons, baton, and all that. I mean, I trained on the taser, trained on whatever. I mean, I was a training fool, and I was training everybody, so I had to go to more training in order to be a trainer. And there were people gone twice as much as me because they needed this training, and they wanted that training. We wanted fingerprint training, we wanted background training, and we wanted how to search criminal history, and we wanted a gun training, and we want this. There's so much wasted money in training. That's not the problem. Okay? You cannot hire a 9-year-old teenager, 13, 14-year-old kid, and train him for 4 years. It would not make him a good cop. He's not mentally mature, he doesn't have the life experience. It's not about training. It's about qualifications, standards, not bending and breaking those standards, not doing away with the standards to be a social freaking petri dish of PC. That's the problem. You dumb down the employees, you dumb down the working corps, you get more money because there's no deficit to failure, and that's how you end up with a complete agency of idiots. And the idiots get promoted to be in charge of idiots, and then they get promoted to be in charge of the whole idiot program, and then idiots come here and go, oh, those cops need more training. Well, that's because you're an idiot. I can't. Back to this cop on the dog. When I worked a dog, use of force, and I don't think it's changed much, a dog falls in the use of force continuum in about the same area, has hands-on, fighting grab, twist locks, any non-lethal, that's where the dog is, which is really amazing if you think about it. So when government uses a dog on you, it's non-lethal and you shouldn't be inferior life, and you can't react as if you're inferior life, and you can't protect yourself because you're inferior life. Because the government says when government uses it, it's non-lethal. When government walks by a freaking two-legged chihuahua, they go, I'm inferior in my life, and they can shoot it and kill it. Even though it's a pet and it couldn't hurt them. Because they're in fear of their life, they can shoot a dog that's not even trained to attack, and we can't defend ourselves against their dogs that are trained to attack. Not only are they trained to attack, they're always accompanied by a government official with a gun, pepper spray, taser, alternatives, all kind of Batman shit, nets, whatever, helicopters that drop down, sleeping gas, whatever the hell they're using now. There's all these other things, and yet they still can have their dog chew on people arbitrarily and no justification. Now the Supreme Court, when a couple cops, because remember I tell you, law enforcement is on a pendulum, and it gets really, really loose and really supportive of cops, and cops get all the support and they can do whatever they want and they can't do any wrong. And then the people get fed up and they start complaining and they're getting upset. And then you see more videos and the news discovers more. And next thing you know, the pendulum swings the other way. Now people aren't supporting. Now people are putting pressure on politicians, they're putting pressure on government, they're putting pressure on their elected representatives. The Supreme Court gets involved, the Supreme Court goes, you can no longer use that, we're taking that away from you. Hence, billy clubs. Everybody used to carry a sap, a billy club, a little thing that you could pop somebody in the head with, a little steel pouch or whatever. Used to be legal, cops carried them. Guess what? Courts took them away. Why? Because cops were using them for freaking anything. Don't smart mouth me. Whap! Upside the head with a piece of metal. And the cops go, you know what? Or the courts went, you cops are out of control, we're taking them away. Now you can't carry them. We're making it illegal for you to carry. They can do that with dogs. They can do it with tasers. They can even do it with guns. I mean, there's no reason that they have to let cops carry high-capacity mags and assault rifles. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not an assault rifle when the government uses it. It's a patrol rifle. It's only an assault rifle when citizens have it to defend themselves and protect themselves because they aren't cops. They don't wear bulletproof vests. Now, the ignorance out there is just freaking amazing. But to this cop and his dog, people think that I was saying this cop is 100% wrong and he should have just let the guy hit him and said, thank you, sir, have a nice day. I never said any such thing. I never said the cop was wrong for defending himself. I never said the cop was wrong for using his dog. I think he was a punk for not going hands-on when a guy hit him, because hands-on is non-lethal force. Then I had the cop lovers come in here with their cop-splaining, and dude, you're trying to cop-splain to me? I've testified an expert to get cops out of trouble, and I've testified, well not testified, I've given expert opinion to DAs when cops were wrong, and then they wouldn't put me on stand, so I didn't testify. So I don't think I've ever testified against a cop, because the DA don't want to testify against a cop. Every time I saw the cop was wrong, they go, we're not going to use you. We're going to find an expert that we like that agrees with us. So I mean, the system is rigged that way. I mean, I didn't like it. I don't like the way they do juries. I think you ought to get 12 juries, you get 12 juries. There ought to be standard question, every juror gets it, and that's it. You shouldn't have DAs trying to, I'm trying to talk my case, I'm trying to talk my case, what do you think about this, what do you think about this, do you like cops, do you not like, I mean, and you get to filter down to who you like. I don't like that part, but I'm not king, okay? In the land of the blind, a man with one eye is king. And I ain't even got one eye, because I ain't king. So, this guy got hit. Oh, I forgot, the other people were coming here commenting. Rick, you don't know what you're talking about. That was a knife call. Using a dog on a knife guy is perfectly acceptable. Well, you're a freaking idiot. Okay, first of all, I don't release my dog on a knife. I don't want my dog getting stabbed. A knife is not non-lethal. A dog is non-lethal. Now, people will tell you, and there may be a lie, and you may have some shit dog handlers out here to say, my dog's a piece of equipment. I can use him. It's to save an officer's life. And if it costs his life, no big deal. Well, to me, that's a shitty handler. I never said that. My dog is a highly trained partner of mine that I put a lot of time in, and I don't want to usually risk his life when I don't have to. And I ain't sending him on a guy with a knife to get stabbed. If a guy gets a knife, I can go to a gun, I can hold him at gunpoint, I can try to tase him at a distance, I can pepper spray him at a distance, I can call out a fire truck and fire hose his ass. There's 1,000 things I can do to this guy, and I would not send my dog on a knife to let my dog get stabbed and die, just so I can go, oh, that's what the dog's for. You know, Rick, they tell us that's what the dog's for. You got to release him so it protects the cops. Well, you're a freaking idiot. And I ain't doing that. So, the other thing about this being a knife call at everybody, and I don't know if it was a knife call or not, that's what people want to get pissed off at me at. How dare you say so-and-so reported and they got the evidence? Look, I don't care. I'm telling you from a reasonable standard, looking at this from the outside in, what I see and why I see. This cop gets out of his car, leaves his dog in the car, leaves his gun in a holster. He don't even have his hand on his holster. And he walks up within 5 feet of this guy. The guy walks over to him and hits him, close enough to hit him, within arm's reach. The cop doesn't pull his gun. He tries to release his dog. He can't, and he doesn't go hands-on. So he opens the door and he lets the dog bite him. The dog is detaining the guy. He could have waited for backup. He could have went to his gun. He could have went to his taser. He could have done a lot of things. Instead, as soon as the dog grabs it, he takes a rabbit punch to the back of the head. Well, Rick, the guy had a knife. If the guy had a knife, and that was a knife call, not only is that cop a pussy, he's incompetent. He's a moron. No cop gets out of the car on a man with a knife, leaving his gun in his holster, dog in a car, and walks up to the person and stands next to him unless we get close enough to hit him. That's just freaking idiotic. Well, Rick, the report said it was a knife and you're just trying to think you know everything. I'm not, you freaking idiots who want to come here and argue. Leave. Go fucking watch ass, whoever the hell you want. I don't care. I'm trying to give you my opinion. If you don't like it, get out. Jesus Christ. Dealing with idiots every day. It's just, I'm trying to educate the people because there's some people who are actually trying to understand and learn, and they ask questions to learn, and so I explain this. And then there's other idiots that just want to argue and show how smart they are and look like, oh man, I can show this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'll tell him what he doesn't know. I'll give him some information to make me look smart like he doesn't know. Rick, it was a knife call. That was a righteous attack. I got no problem with the officer. Well, then you got lower standards than me. I got problems with him. I don't think you hit somebody in the back of the head when your dog's chewing on him. I think that's a pussy move. And if we don't have to agree on that. I think most juries would find that a pussy move. I think most courts would find that not reasonable. It wasn't reasonable at all. Well, Rick, if he had a knife, he should have had his gun out. They're shooting people with knives when they're 20, 30 feet away from him, saying he had a knife, I could shoot him. And now you're telling me this guy had a knife and this cop walks up, leaves his dog in the car and his gun in the holster and walks up to where he gets hit in the face. And now you're trying to justify it by saying, well, he was authorized, Rick, because he had a knife. First of all, I didn't see a knife. Somebody said they saw a knife, drop it. I don't care if he had a knife or he didn't have a knife.
I'm going by the reasonableness of the officer's behavior. If he had a knife, the officer was incompetent. He shouldn't have walked up to the dude like he's walking up to interview somebody at a freaking donut shop on what's the best donut. He freaking walked up there relaxed, no hand. I mean, he didn't have a 60-40 fighter stance, hand on his gun, handgun away, hand up to block anything. He didn't have any tactical skill at all. He walked up there like he's going to freaking Dunkin' Donuts to order a fucking chocolate-covered donut with sprinkles. And then you want to go, well, it was a knife call, Rick, and he was just... You can't do that. The courts will not allow you to jump back and cry cop-splaining shit after the fact when your behavior did not justify what you're saying happened. No cop. If you get... I challenge anybody to say how many cops... Find me a cop that'll get on the stand and say, yeah, it's standard procedure and it's pretty much normal. I think it's reasonable if you get a knife call to leave your dog in a car and to walk out and not pull your gun and not have your hand on the gun and get close enough to the guy so he can hit you. That's pretty reasonable. I think most cops would do that. Then I'd be calling that cop a freaking idiot. Because that's just absurd. So it's unreasonable on his actions. Either he didn't know it was a knife, he didn't listen to the call, or he's a freaking idiot. But his behavior did not justify... I see something move behind me. Monkey! Man, I thought I saw something behind me. Did y'all see something? Was there a shadow? I'm not losing my mind. Right back over here, I saw something move. Oh, maybe it was my hand that went up. All right, whatever. So shit.
Look, people, I got no dog in this. What do I gain by making a cop look good or bad? I gain nothing. Well, I mean, I've got no dog in this fight. I've got my only fight or dog in this fight is to hold government accountable, to wake people up, to help people understand what cops should be doing, how they're trained, and what the law says. And then if you want to jump into, well, Rick, everybody shoot dogs and it's perfectly legal because everybody does it. Well, that's not what the law says. The law doesn't say you can shoot a freaking dog because you see a dog. The law says you have to be in fear of your life to use deadly force. And when you fire your gun, you're exercising deadly force, even on an animal. Now, it may have a policy that if an animal is injured on the side of the road, you can use your gun, deadly force, to put the animal out of harm and to stop his suffering. That may be authorized in that situation. But I guarantee you there's no policy that says all officers are allowed, and it's reasonable that all officers should fear all dogs, and they're automatically presumed in fear of their life, and they're allowed to shoot any dog that comes in the area when they're working. I mean, that's just freaking crazy. And I got idiots here justifying. Well, Rick, if you ever seen it, I've been bit so many freaking times, my medical records look like a freaking encyclopedia. I mean, I got scars on my legs and arms, and I mean, don't tell me about dog bites. Dog bites ain't freaking jack shit. They hurt, it's scary, it's usually a freaking puncture wound, they pack it, they give you antibiotics, and you move on. I mean, when was the last time someone died from a dog bite? I mean, that post office people deal with dogs every freaking day. They walk a route and go to every house in every neighborhood. And not one of them carry a gun, not one of them have killed a dog, and not one of them's been killed by a dog. Why is it that cops with a bulletproof vest, trained in self-defense, with tasers, pepper spray, guns, badges, and bulletproof vests, why is it they have to be scared and shoot everybody's freaking dog? It's absurd, and I think it's wrong. So I speak out, I try to bring attention. Hopefully somebody will be, hey man, that makes a pretty good point, and they will pass on that argument, and then maybe someday it'll change. I mean, that's my only dog in a fight, people. I mean, I enjoy looking at cases. I enjoy getting into the legal aspect on whether a warrant was valid and how is it justified and is it reasonable and how the courts are going to see it. And because I've been there and I've seen it and I've justified it, I've fought and I've lost and I've won, and to me it's interesting. So if it's not interesting to you, I mean, most cops out there, I mean, they're kind of dumbass drones now, and it's like, show up, shoot dog, take report, leave, show up, pepper spray, beat guy, handcuff him, take him to jail, charge him with resisting arrest. I mean, that's the only freaking thing they know. Most cops nowadays today are turning into freaking CHP. The only thing a CHP knows is walk up, issue ticket, speed, you know speed, me go eat donuts. I mean, that's CHP's job 99% of the time. That's all they freaking do. And I think most cops now, it's just like, shit, I don't have to learn the law. I don't have to do anything. I can shoot people with impunity. I can freaking shoot dogs and nobody's going to say anything. I can overuse force and just claim I was in fear of my life and he was resisting arrest, and I never get in trouble. And that's the state we're in this country. And it pisses me off, because that is the tip of the spear of how this country is going to shit, and how we're losing our freedoms inch by inch, and how they're shitting on the Constitution with DUI checkpoints, with searching cars, with running a dog around a car and smell, with searching your car if a dog hits, with no accountability on when a dog hits and what it's standing. In the military, our dogs, we had to maintain a 90% average on our drug dogs and a 95% average on our explosive dogs. And if we dropped below that, that dog was decertified and we couldn't use it. When we go search, when they call the Air Force Base and go, hey, President's coming in, we need a bomb dog for 2 days. You're going to be working with Secret Service. We have records that say that dog's 95% certified, and he has only missed 5% of the total aids he searched. So if he searched 100, he's found 95 and he's missed 5 only. That's what his rate has to be in order to be certified in the Air Force. I don't know about the Army. I know when they graduate, the Air Force trains the dog for all branches. It's like Lackland Air Force Base. I was stationed there for a couple of years. Train dogs for Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, anybody. Civilians, everybody sends their dog down to, not everybody, I mean there's other places, but they train dogs for all branches of the service. So I know what the standard is to get a dog out in the field. Now what happens once they're in the field, when I worked with the Navy down in Hickam when I was in Hawaii, we had a Navy, 7 dogs, and I was a kennel master, so I had like 7 Navy handlers and 7 or 10 Air Force handlers. And that was a pretty good unit that we had out there, and we had a bunch of dogs, and we had a bunch of little beagles that would search submarines and all kind of shit for drugs. So, but you have to maintain, and we had to keep diligent records. Every time that dog searches, we have to say how many drugs were planted, how many was found, how many was missed, and what was missed. Because we may only decertify a dog on 1 aid. When I say 95%, he's got to be 95% on all odors. When I was in, there was 11 odors for a drug dog. Tovex, dynamite, ammonia dynamite, TNT, det cord, smokeless powder. There was all these different agents, and as the more bombs come up, we teach them new odors. But I think there was like 11. Well, if he misses smokeless powder twice, he ain't at 95% on smokeless powder. I got to do a lot of training in order to make sure he finds so many to get that 95% on smokeless powder. And we had records, and these dogs had to be certified once a quarter. Every quarter, we had to go out, hide the aids with the certifying official, which is usually the base commander in the Air Force, and we would take out the whole theater on the base or a huge building, and the base commander would show up, and I'd go, I planted these aids. And I'd plant some high, some low, some medium. And I'd say, I've got dynamite there, I've got TNT there, I've got smokeless powder there, and the dog would have to come in and he'd have to find them all. And when he found them all, base commander would go, I certify him. And he's certified for another quarter. Might have been every 6 months. I thought it was every quarter, but it's every quarter, every time the base commander changes. And the reason behind that is because if I'm working a drug dog and my dog hits on a car and I need to go get a warrant on my drug, because we didn't used to be able to search. I mean, we didn't just say, oh, my dog's searched, we're searching a car. No. When my dog hit on a car, I had to secure that car, I had to go write a warrant, I had to call the base commander, brief the JAG officer, who was basically the DA for civilian cops. I had to brief the JAG officer, hey, my dog is so-and-so, here's his name, he was certified on this date, he's at a 94% actually hit rate, and he's had, 3 negative responses in the last, 3 months. And he goes, okay, I think you have probable cause. Then I'd call the base commander, and we would do a conference call. So the base commander would get hooked up, and the JAG was on there, and I was on there. And I'd explain my search warrant to the commander, and the commander would go, all right, I think there's probable cause, I'm okay with this, you are. JAG, you're okay? I'm okay, I just got one question, blah, blah. He'd ask me a question, I'd answer it, and then the JAG would go, okay, I'm okay with this. And then the base commander would go, okay, you got a warrant. Boom, I'm good to go. Now, he could give me a verbal warrant over the phone, and I could go search, but I would have to do a written typed warrant and have to get it to him the next day for him to sign it. And then that signed warrant would be with my report. So, I mean, for people to come out here and try to tell me about freaking dogs, I'm just like, really?
I mean, I've forgotten more about dogs than most people will know. And I damn sure have forgotten more than a lot of dog handlers. I ain't never seen a bunch of incompetent freaking dog handlers in my life. Most of these cops I see out there handling dogs, they don't know the basic principles of conditioning, a stimulus, response, reward. They're kicking their dog, they're yanking, they're not searching, they don't have a good pattern. When you're searching, you should be moving that dog's up and down, doing a V, so that dog can hit odor high and he can hit odor low. And if you just, most of the handlers are fucking like walking around like this, too fat to fucking bend over and they're just fucking walking with their dog. And the dog's walking, and the dog will go up and down a little bit, but they never get the dog high because sometimes when wind hits a car, it circles the scent and it may come over the scent. If the wind's blowing this way, it might go through the cracks in the car, force it out over here and swirl it. And if you don't put your dog high on this side of the car, you'll miss the odor. And the dog. And that was, if a dog missed like that, I would be writing on the certification, handler error. And I tell the base commander, the handler screwed that up.
That wasn't a dog's fault. And I'd say, bring him back and do that area correctly. And I wouldn't tell him to go high or low. And he would go back and research it, and the dog would find it. Now, obviously, they knew if I sent their ass back, they missed a freaking aid. So then they'd be like, they'd be like, oh, check her, and they would be over searching. And that's another way to get a dog to false respond. So, I mean, the handlers that I see working now, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, what kind of training they do? Is it like a weekend course to become a dog handler? Okay, you say, get him, and you don't have to call him out because everybody has to go up and choke and pull and yank. No freaking, I've never seen a freaking handler. I haven't seen one video of a handler go, help! And the dog lets go and comes back. All of our dogs we would have to certify them on patrol, and they would have to run and get within 3 feet of the person, and we had to be able to stop them. And if they didn't stop and they hit that freaking person and the handler yelled out, that dog wasn't certified. So, I mean, I don't think there's any standards on canine now, and the courts aren't keeping up with it. So I've always got people sending me these videos. Man, what do you think about these handlers making their dogs false respond? They are. I see it all the freaking time. It's freaking outrageous. I'm offended by it. It's just outrageous. But you know what? Nobody has followed up to the course. Nobody's got an expert up there. Nobody's got the right questions on these handlers. How many times have you done this training? How many times you met? How many times have you searched your car? How many times your dog false responded? Do you keep track of your false responses? How many times has your dog said there was dope and there wasn't? And the old standard answer for dog handlers is, well, there's such thing as residual odor, and sometimes when you have drugs in a car, the dog will still respond on the odor because the odor is there, even though the drugs. So it's not uncommon for a dog to respond on a car and not find something. That's freaking bullshit. It's called odor saturation, and a dog should learn that I don't respond on residual odor. If I bring a bag of marijuana here, shake it, and then walk it out, when a dog comes in there, he's going to be like, damn, it smells like a little bit like marijuana in here. And he's going to sniff this area and search it and try to find source. Dogs know how to find their first J&D, just notable difference, and they learn how to work the odor to the strongest source. I don't see any dogs doing that now. They're just freaking out there. And the handlers stand there flat-footed, which is a perfect way to get your dog to respond. The guy sits and they walk away. They don't even reward their dog when they find it. And the workaround around that is, well, my dog's on a variable reward, so I only reward him when I know there's something there. And then you'll see handlers, when they search and they find something, when the cops find dope, the handler's like, oh, I want to bring my dog back and have him sniff that and give him his reward. That means you're freaking incompetent. He didn't really respond the first time. You should have rewarded him the first time. And the fact that you got to bring him back and you're surprised that we found something tells me you're incompetent. So, I mean, I could go on and on about dogs for freaking ever. But I'm telling you, man, this guy used this dog. He was hit. He was attacked. It was unprovoked attack. The guy was wrong. Everybody get it? All you freaking idiots coming here, oh, you just protected a bad guy. The guy was wrong. But it doesn't mean that government gets to throw out the freaking rule book just because the citizen is wrong. That's why we have rules. So we don't freaking shoot people just for freaking hitting somebody. I mean, why didn't the cop pull out his gun and shoot him? Because it probably would be unjustified. Although in this day and age, I think it probably would be justified. They would go, oh, no problem. He was in fear of his life. I mean, it's just crazy the way people are using force. And it doesn't matter whether it's taser, whether it's pepper spray directly in the eye, whether it's a taser 14 times in the back, in the groin, whether it's shooting somebody 64 times because they dropped their freaking donut and they tried to catch it before it hit the ground, and now they got 14 holes in them
Because the freaking cop's like, dude, I was in fear of my life. I thought you were going to hit me in the eye with that donut and blind me. I mean, it's fucking crazy. But anyway, so look, the guy was wrong. The cop was justified in using force. The law says minimum force necessary. Minimum force necessary. Not maximum, not everything, not all lethal force, not taser, pepper spray, dog, and punching. That's not what the law says. Minimum force necessary to effect the arrest. I mean, it's pretty simple. The guy's chewing on the dog's detaining him, the dog's doing his job. There was really no reason for the guy to go hands-on. But I'm going to have idiots coming here, well, he had a knife and he dropped the knife, freaking, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, then if I don't know what I'm talking about, why are you freaking here commenting? Why aren't you watching freaking green screen telling you to buy us pepper spray? All right, we'll end it there. I don't know what happened to my cat. All right, we'll end it there on Cop Talk. Oh, I forgot, there's Smokey. I turned it off, I didn't see Mokey. Hi, Mokey Moke. See if I can get a little wagtail. Mokey Moke. Say hi to you, tubies. Mokey. Meow. It's like, dude, I'm done. You've been yapping for 20 minutes. So I found this in the trash can. You guys won't care about this on my horse channel, though. I like scaring my horses or exposing them to different things. So my neighbor threw this away. He was in the trash can. Horses don't like things that fly anyway. So as soon as I get a good day where I can go out there and fly it, I'm going to fly that around and scare the shit out of my horses. Rick, that's me. Oh, be quiet. It's called secking out. I'm trying to get them used to things. You never know when a wild, crazy bird with a big mouth and big eyes are going to attack them. All right, we'll end that there.